After we developed about 3,000 years, modern civilizations began Greek time, and or Egypt, Greek, or Rome. Very unfortunately, we have to say clearly, now present-day civilization is ending. Everything, of course, in the universe, whatever has beginning has end. Whatever is arise, then fall. The professor of history, always try to find out some principle of history, how history moves. There's Arnold Toynbee of Oxford University predicted the history move yin and yang. He used the words of yin and yang, yin and yang. And he also predicted for 10 years, from the time of the 10 years ago, this civilization is ending. As our macrobiotic philosophers, such as Mr. Osawa, and also philosophers before, and in Western countries, macrobiotic philosophers like Samuel Butler, and also Bernard Shaw, and Edward Carpenter. These so-called naturalists or macrobiotic philosophers all predicted this civilization is ending. End with the miseries and end with the chaos. And that ending is coming very near. How that is coming? Coming from internally and also externally. Internal means biological degeneration. Our quality of human biological status cannot maintain anymore, any longer, to sustain, to keep up as a human race, human species on this planet. Cannot adapt these climatic conditions, this weather, and this nature. And secondary, externally, we have enough spoiled and contaminated our water, our soil, and our air. And together with these internal, external problems, our civilizations and civilized people now becoming very weak. Day to day, we are facing that problem. Every family now, they're facing so-called degenerative disease. In the case of America, out of 230 million populations, 42 million currently suffering heart disease. 38 million is high blood pressure. 36 million allergies. Same 36 million arthritis, which light condition, if we include light condition, estimated about 60 million, which not particularly need medical attention, but this is needed medical attention, 36 million. And so, and cancer is now 1 out of 3 expected to become cancer. 2 out of 3 families involved. Mental illness 1 out of 4 becoming some point strange mind. In New York, 99% all the time. And 15% need psychiatric care or some kinds of medication, drugs, tranquilizers or sedatives, sleeping pills, etc. And 10% is estimated to become the mental, the disabled. So, physical, psychological degeneration is rapidly going on, but more for the human species, more the horrible thing is reproductive abilities sharply declining. Now about 1 out of 4 or 1 out of 5 couples cannot have the offsprings, children. Male, for past 60 years, since 1920 to 1980, if we compare, sperm count declined 32%. And active male, the sexually active male about college age, about 23% has no ability to have the children. Possibly because of the impotency or no sperm or sperm is very weak, and so forth. On the women's side, irregularity of menstruation is common. Menstrual cramp pains is common. And hysterectomy, make operation taking out the uterus and ovaries, is every year. $75,000. That means if a woman becomes 65 years old, at 65 years old age, 50%, 1 second of women do not have uterus to cut. Together with that, more horrible things now going on, that is so-called STD, sexually transmitted disease. I met the person, macrobiotic friend, who is the Canadian consul to Congo. And he told me that in Congo and Central Africa, AIDS virus carrier, about 30 millions. AIDS, naturally, every day many people die by AIDS. And this AIDS virus is not homosexual community. This is all heterosexual societies. And between usual traditional man-woman relations, this is spreading. And America, so far estimated about now 3 million probably carrying AIDS virus. No one actually knows exact figure, but this is conservative figures. And naturally, by age, increasing more and more, and not only homosexual communities now spread the usual communities and even children's. Some newspapers (108 kids in New York schools). Each school for 6 every day, every week, AIDS problems in New York area. But not only New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Florida, etc. All spreading. And worst thing is AIDS increase every year double. That means United States of America, suppose 3 million now is carrying AIDS virus. Then 1987, next year, becomes 6 million. 88 becoming 12 million. 89 becoming 24 million. 90 becoming 48 million. 91 becoming 96 million. 92 becoming 192 million. 93 becoming 384 million. If AIDS virus spread according to present speed, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years later, entire America will carry AIDS virus. For that, there is no way to prevent. There is no way to prevent. Do you know how many people carrying the herpes virus? Herpes. Again, there is no exact figure because many people who have herpes symptoms, they do not necessarily go to hospitals. General estimate by US government, therefore very wide margins. They estimate probably 20 million to 100 millions in between. Suppose if we take herpes virus carrier, let's take 50 million, not 20 million, most conservative figure, not most progressive figure. Let's take 50 million AIDS virus carriers, okay? Total American population, 230 millions. Suppose if we eliminate children and old people, more than 65 years old, then about 150 million populations adults, so-called, okay? Including teenagers. These adults, 150 million, out of 150 million, 50 million carrying the herpes virus. That means 1 out of 3 carrying the herpes virus. Yes, that doesn't show when you carry AIDS virus or herpes virus. It's not necessarily you yourself suffering AIDS itself or herpes complex, herpes syndrome, like pimple comes or genital organs, various things goes, etc. However, can transmit to other people through intercourse and through other methods, such as the blood transfusions or liquid, right? Body fluid exchange, so forth. So, disease, the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta, Georgia, that's semi-governmental agencies, estimate within this 1 year period, 12 million new STD will arise in America. 12 million. About 5% of total American population. New for coming 1 year period. And that includes AIDS symptoms and including herpes and including various other STD. And this is not only America. All civilized countries, more or less same situation going on. And accordingly, we have to clearly know this civilization is now collapsing, and so-called modern civilized people who enjoys the business, who enjoys the televisions, who enjoys the transportation, who enjoys driving cars, who do that, who has the government, who has various kinds of enterprise, who has the families. Some of them Christian, some of them Buddhist, some of them the other religions, various. All these so-called modern peoples collapsing and becoming sick and ending. It is so apparent, biologically, that means physically, psychologically, and spiritually, this entire so-called modern civilized human species are now rapidly declining, and this civilization will end in very short near future. Although still construction going on, still building going on, still talking about rocket satellites, still talking about the international war, still talking about this and that, etc. But that is only the surface. Behind the curtain, so much degeneration is spreading. And together with that, environmental problems. Europe, number one issue of environmental problem is radiation. After Soviet, that atomic power plant exploded. And here and there, many countries, through the radio, through the televisions, government and public agencies advise, don't touch milk. Don't drink milk. Because milk has the most effective, most harmful, like radiation keeping. And also some countries, they were telling don't eat green vegetables. Green vegetables, radiation, the whole article. And so, literally, there are European peoples very scared about radiation effects. Together with that, furthermore, like irradiation program is going on. That is, giving radiation to the food to keep up the food the long time. That is, like United States, like the atomic power agencies, like energy, the agencies and others backing, and large food industries backing that. In other words, and already began to a certain extent the irradiation on the food, such as potato, etc., so forth. Okay? And then, from outside and inside, we receive radiations. And that's accumulated effects. For example, the plankton or some animals or something is getting the radiation effects. Then that is eaten by other things, more accumulate. That is eaten more and more accumulated, then finally comes the human beings. From vegetable kingdom, from animal kingdom, from both coming like that. And then naturally, human beings ultimate the most high dose of radiation accumulate. And so that is, again, accelerate, promote the end of human species. Third thing is, for that, there is no way to prevent, such as STD or other mental illness, or anyway, there is no way to prevent. And after becomes those sickness or these STD, there is no way to cure. Modern medical care, as well as modern health care, although they try symptomatically eliminate when breast cancer is breast tumor is breast cancer take out by surgeries or radiations or chemotherapies, but again coming up. 2 years later, 3 years later, again come up. Because modern medical care or health did not see what is the cause. What is making this? So, naturally they go symptomatic treatment only. So there is no cure through modern medical way. And no cure means because no understanding of cause, therefore no way of prevention. Of course, macrobiotic people now knows what are the causes. What are the causes for heart disease? What are the causes high blood pressure? When eating macrobiotic way, high blood pressure immediately start to go down. In 3 months, will become normal. What is the cause of allergies? Dairy food, sugars, various the sweets, etc. What is the cause of arthritis? People's hand becoming rigid and become like shoulder become tight, neck become tight. becoming chicken, because eating chicken and eggs. So start a henpeck. People knows, already macrobiotic people know what is the cause of cancer, prostate cancer, lung cancer, etc. Started to correct their way of eating, their way of life. So same things, what is the cause of reproductive ability decline? That is day-to-day eating, day-to-day lifestyle, so forth. And what is the cause of STD declining of our immune abilities? How to recover that natural immune abilities? That is through proper eatings, through proper way of life, proper exercise, etc. Long time you have been helping AIDS peoples, mainly New York and Florida and the Boston area, and they are being studied by Boston universities, taking every 3 months the blood and sending express. And after 2 years or more studies, Boston University's research is discovered. Number one, AIDS macrobiotic people are lymphocyte increasing. This is very important for natural immune ability increase. And for important cell, right? That is cell, T4 cell. That T4 cell in blood, if you become AIDS, going down and then dies. But macrobiotic AIDS people don't go down, sustain. And lymphocyte going up, T4 cells sustain, and other blood conditions becoming better and better. As a result, there are many figures. But as a result, overall is they conclude there is only one possible way to deal with AIDS is macrobiotics throughout the world. All other approaches have failed and failings. Future may come out some medical ways, but so far now, only available possible positive approach for AIDS issue is macrobiotic. And so through macrobiotics, naturally you can prevent to become AIDS. And if in case you are the playboy, playgirl, and get AIDS virus or herpes virus, then you can immediately, your natural immune ability immediately cope with it and can eliminate that virus. And furthermore, when you become macrobiotics, your sexual ability not to become wild. At the same time, not becoming too low, just become constant, I hope, and peaceful one. So wouldn't become wild behaviors. So have a much less chance from that angle too to get STD. Anyway, the people who have, number one, mucus sinus mucus deposit discharge. People who have often skin disease, skin eruption, skin disease, skin rash. People who have vaginal discharge. People who have various kinds of allergic conditions have great candidate to become STD. Because roots cause of STD and those sickness, they are same cause. Too much sweets, too much dairy food, too much refined food, white bread, etc. Too much fatty food, butters, pizza pies, salad dressing, etc., etc. So that is making STD and allergies, mucus deposit, etc. So cause is same, degree is just different. And they are the good candidate to become STD. That means 80% of American people are candidate of STD. And modern people's majority, more than 50%, the candidate to become STD. At any rate, these centuries, while you are still alive, and while we are still alive, in the front of you, you are witnessing, seeing this modern civilization collapse. That is now going on already in families, dying out and suffering degenerative disease and suffering psychiatric problems, suffering STD among your family, your neighbors, your relatives, already going on. Soon coming yourself too. And so, United States government, or German Republic government, or Kremlin, or churches, or this and that, various organizations throughout the world there, but all powerless for this degeneration and end of modern civilized human species. Then who should be really salvate, save the world? Where is salvation is there? Salvation is because of nature of this crisis, global crisis. So salvation is ourselves. Cannot depend on government, cannot depend on international organization, cannot depend on churches, cannot depend on medical establishment, cannot depend on this, cannot depend on that. Only way to make salvation is we have to do ourselves. We begin from our kitchens, from our families, straighten up present day chaotic, disorderly way of eating as well as way of life. Our view, so-called life, about life. I would become happy if I had this. And I like to be successful in the society to become a higher position, to get higher income and that. All those things are already proven that they were useless and serving more harmful way to keep up our life, our health, our real true happiness as human race on the planet. However, everything has front and back. When Wall Street market down, the next going up. When cold winter comes, spring will come. When the sadness goes, joyfulness will come. When darkness comes, brightness will come. So I would say also through this global crisis, which we lose millions of people in very sad, miserable way, but through that, new world will begin. New planetary world, which is beyond differences of nations, differences of cultures, differences of beliefs. Beyond that, planetary family and respecting and marveling nature's universe and loving each other, having brotherhood, sisterhood. A new planetary world will be formed and will be born. That beginning is in our day-to-day life in our home. How to build up ourselves. Your kitchen is a headquarters of this new world. Every individual person is the master, leader of the new world. From there, new spiritual civilization will begin. And let us have all together, our friends, really become friends, the families. We share one universe. We share one home, this planet, Earth. We are now eating or going to eat similar way. That means we share same type of blood, same type of dream. So we are now becoming really families. Family called planetary family, human families. That is beyond, as I tell again, beyond difference of nationality, beyond difference of customs, background, beyond the difference of religious belief, so forth. But more one biological, the spiritual oneness. And that will begin. And let's begin that way. That is only salvate this world, salvate human races. Fortunately, here and there, among peoples, awareness began. Natural food people, holistic medicine people, and many individual people, citizens, began to aware the importance of change our lifestyle and our way of eating. Here, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts governor's proclamation is there. I will distribute this one. Okay. Whereas the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, by His Excellency the Michael S. Dukakis, governor, a proclamation 1986. Whereas the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has received international recognition for its educational, scientific, and medical institutions and its commitment to improving health care. And whereas the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is a center for preventive health care with holistic health organizations, including hospitals, educational foundations and institutes, publications, community adult education centers, natural food stores, and mail order distributors, community co-ops, and macrobiotic centers, being instrumental in alerting the public to the importance of good nutrition. And whereas the holistic health movement has led the trend towards better eating and the public's awareness that the individuals can take responsibility for their own wellness through nutrition, exercise, and stress management. And whereas the American Heart Association has for 14 years acknowledged that heart disease, the #1 cause of death in the United States, is directly related to dietary consumption of saturated fats and cholesterol, and has urged changes in diet to prevent and control hyperlipidemia, obesity, hypertension, and diabetes. And whereas the National Academy of Science in 1982 and the American Cancer Society in 1984 have called upon the general public to reduce cancer risks by reducing fat intake, alcohol and smoked food, and increasing high fiber foods, fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, as well as foods rich in vitamin A and C. And whereas the American Diabetes Association has recommended reducing animal fats and simple sugars and eating a diet high in complex carbohydrates to reduce the risk of diabetes and diabetic complications. And whereas the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has already begun to incorporate the principle of holistic feeding in its healthcare institutions, having established a holistic pain and stress clinic and also a whole food program at Lamel Shattuck Hospital in Boston. Now, therefore, I, Michael S. Dukakis, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim August 1986 as Holistic Health and Nutrition Awareness Month, and urge the citizens of the Commonwealth to take cognizance of these events and to participate fittingly in its observance. Given at the Executive Chamber in Boston this 8th day of August, 1986, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 211th. Signed, Michael S. Dukakis, and also the signed Secretary of Commonwealth, Michael J. Connelly. I like to have you make copies, send to your town, send to your the state's government, and tell them, let us also go towards that direction, please. And so awareness now began. And let's spread this, and let's save this America and the whole world. I know that can be done, although we lose so many millions of people in sad and miserable situations, but we can save the heritage and the spirit of mankind on this planet. And we can begin new world. Let's try, let's do through our life, and let's do that. One wonderful example I like to introduce. She from the terminal suffering, the death, near death, the cancer case. She and her family aware cause is nothing but ourselves, myself. And from there, devolution, spiritual revolution arises, and she completely overcomes that miracles. Mrs. Ellen Nussbaum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, first I want to say it's so nice to be here again, to see so many old friends, meet so many new ones. As many of you already know, and as Michio said, I've made a remarkable recovery from widespread cancer with macrobiotics. And I'd like to share some of my experiences with you today. I know many of you have heard me many times. Michio always asks me to speak before a group, but if there are a few of you out there who need a little inspiration, I hope I'll be able to give it to you today. In April of 1980, I was diagnosed with uterine cancer. It was a mixed tumor, a carcinosarcoma, and it was embedded in the muscle of the lining of the connective tissue of the uterus. When it was discovered, it was large. It was so large it couldn't be removed. The doctor said that to expose it would surely cause it to spread. And so they decided to treat me first with chemotherapy and radiation in an attempt to reduce the tumor to an operable size. So I had oral and intravenous chemotherapy. I had radiation treatments. I had a radium implant. After 4 months of treatment, I went to surgery, and I had a radical hysterectomy with a bilateral salpingo-oophorectomy. After the surgery, the doctor said, "We think we got it all." For 5 consecutive days following the surgery, I was given an overload dose of chemotherapy, and I was told that I would have to stay on chemotherapy orally indefinitely just to be sure. Seemingly, all was well. I went back to the hospital every few months for all these diagnostic procedures. Everything came back negative. About 2 years after the surgery, a little before 2 years, I started having pain in my lower back. I tried to dismiss it at first. I told myself, well, everybody has lower back pain sometimes, but the pain became severe. I couldn't sit in a soft chair. It was becoming increasingly difficult to sit in a hard one. So I called the oncologist. She had me come in for x-rays and bone scans. I was told that I had a compression fracture of the spine, fractured spine. I asked, does this have anything to do with the previous cancer? The answer was no, not that we could see. I was told that there was nothing to do for a compression fracture. It would just heal by itself. I should just go about my business, try to stay as active as I could, and the pain would go away. Pain didn't go away. It got worse and worse and worse. I couldn't sit at all. I couldn't lie down on my bed. The mattress was too soft. We tried a firmer mattress. We slipped a wooden board under the mattress. I just couldn't lie down at all. I started sleeping on the floor. The length of time that I could stay down on the floor became shorter and shorter. It was hard to get down on the floor. It was extremely painful to get up again. It wasn't long before the time I could stay down just wasn't worth the pain and the effort of getting there. So I started standing up all day and all night. I usually stood in the kitchen. I held on to the kitchen counter, and I just stood there. When I needed to sleep, I would grab the back of a chair, back myself against the wall, and doze off a little bit. Sometimes my husband would stand against the wall, and I would lean on him and try to get a little bit sleep. Nothing stopped the pain. We were in constant touch with the doctors in the hospitals. They just said there was nothing they could do. There was no point in me coming back for more tests or anything. It would only show the same thing. I would have to wait at least 2 months. In desperation, after a couple of days of standing up all day and all night, we called an orthopedist. The orthopedist confirmed the compression fracture. He told me that I also had a partially collapsed vertebrae. My backbone was collapsing. And in order to prevent the total collapse of the backbone, he put me into a brace. It was called the Jewett expansion brace. It came from the pelvis, from the neck, below the pelvis, around the back, opened up to be screwed on like a vise. He told me that I should screw it on as tight as I could possibly stand it. I should wear it always, 24 hours a day. He also gave me medication for the pain, Motrin to be taken regularly, and fiorinol with codeine to be taken when the pain really became severe. So I wore the brace, I took the Motrin, I took the fiorinol, the pain just got worse and worse and worse. It started to spread from my back to my buttocks to my thighs and ultimately down my legs. My legs crumbled and I couldn't stand anymore. So I couldn't sit, couldn't lie down, and I couldn't stand up. My husband placed me into a chair, a recliner chair that we have in the house. We adjusted it to the semi-reclining position, and I just stayed there in the chair, locked into the brace and popping my pills. I wasn't even popping my own pills. I'd become too weak to do that. Somebody had to open the bottle, take one out, put one in my mouth for me. After 2 months of this, I was carried back to the hospital where x-rays, bone scans, tests were taken again. These pictures showed that I had cancer on the lumbar spine, lower back where I was having most of the pain. I also had cancer on the thoracic spine, a little bit higher up in the back, and I also had multiple metastatic deposits in both lungs. Cancerous lesions of various sizes filling up both lungs. We have a little setback, the doctor said. They wanted to give me chemotherapy immediately, but I was so sick and so weak that there was just no way I would be able to withstand it. So we went with radiation first. It was a palliative measure, an attempt to reduce the pain to a tolerable level, which it did. It didn't take it away, but it did make it more bearable. So I had 5 radiation treatments, then I had chemotherapy, then more radiation, then more chemotherapy. The protocol for me was for 10 cycles of chemotherapy. They were to be given 3 or 4 weeks apart. Each one required an overnight stay in the hospital. So we brought a hospital bed into the house, adjusted it to that semi-reclining position, and I stayed in the hospital bed in the brace, popping my pills, just waiting for one chemotherapy treatment to the next. After 4 treatments, I cut my finger. I was opening up the mail, and I got a little paper cut, the left hand between the thumb and the first finger, and the paper cut got infected. My blood levels were so depressed from all the heavy chemotherapy that I couldn't fight the infection that set in. So they hospitalized me for 10 days. Diagnosis, paper cut. I had massive doses of intravenous antibiotics. I had 4 blood transfusions. I spent 3 days in isolation. Isolation was because my blood levels were so low, my bone marrow wasn't producing at all. They thought that if I would catch a germ, an infection, a bacteria, anything at all, they would lose me to that. So I was in the hospital for 10 days with a paper cut. At the end of the 10 days, it was decided that the chemotherapy I was getting was too toxic for me. It could kill me before the cancer would. And they'd have to put me on something milder. X-rays, bone scans, tests taken at that time showed that the condition of my lungs was unchanged. There was no improvement from all that toxic chemotherapy. The conditions of my bones, progressing. Well, I realized that if all this toxic chemotherapy that was destroying my blood wasn't going to do anything to stop the rapidly advancing cancer, certainly something milder wasn't going to do me any good. And that's when I decided to consider another method. I had been studying for a degree in nutrition, so I knew that there were alternative methods out there, and I chose macrobiotics. I chose macrobiotics based on my readings of other people who had healed themselves this way, and also based on my intuition that told me that macrobiotics made sense. I was in the hospital with my paper cut from January 21st to January 30th, 1983, not that long ago. Beginning of February, I began macrobiotics. I immediately eliminated from my diet all animal food, meat, poultry, eggs, even fish, all dairy food, all simple refined sugars, all processed chemical foods, all tropical fruit. I gave myself about 10 days, 2 weeks to gradually wean myself off the 38 pills I was taking every day. I was taking 38 pills in the form of oral chemotherapy, hormones, antibiotics, and vitamins. So I guess it was the middle of February, towards the end of February, that I was on the macrobiotic diet. I started macrobiotics in the hospital bed, in the wheelchair, in the brace, and in pain. The pain gradually receded. I never took another painkiller. I started getting a little bit of strength. I was able to get off the bed, to be helped off the bed, start taking a few steps with the help of a walker. Not real steps, 1 foot forward, drag up the other foot, rest, like that. After a little while, 1 foot in front of the other foot. Some time went by, I was able to put away the walker and start walking with the help of 2 canes. Then I put away 1 cane, walked with only 1 cane. Then I put away that cane and was able to walk, holding on to the walls, the furniture, tabletops, every once in a while taking a few tentative steps on my own. It was on May 22nd, I remember the date, after 3 months of macrobiotic practice, that I walked up and down all by myself. During the next 3 months, all kinds of wonderful things started to happen. I threw away my wig, my hair, which had all fallen out from the chemotherapy, was back enough to be presentable. I took off the brace. I'd been taking it off for an hour here, an hour there, a couple of hours during the night. Now I took it off for good. Returned to the hospital bed, started driving again, resumed my studies towards my master's degree in nutrition. By the end of August 1983, after 6 months of macrobiotic practice, I was a completely different person. I had changed from a sick, depressed, pill-popping invalid to a happy, optimistic, and very, very grateful, pain-free person. In November of 1983, Thanksgiving weekend, after 9 months of macrobiotic practice, Michio Kushi told me that all the symptoms of cancer were gone. It's now 3.5 years, a little more than 3.5 years, that I've been practicing macrobiotics. Here I am, and I feel wonderful. Right, there's more. I completed the Master of Science degree in nutrition. My thesis was called Macrobiotics, an Alternative Treatment for Cancer. I've studied macrobiotics very diligently, and I've received first-level certification as a macrobiotic teacher and as a cooking teacher. I'm doing macrobiotic counseling, I'm teaching cooking classes, I lecture here and there, and I've written a book. My book is called Recovery. It's subtitled From Cancer to Health Through Macrobiotics. It describes in detail my painful experiences with cancer and my subsequent return to full health, macrobiotic way. It's really a wonderful book. It's very inspiring, very encouraging. It's available here in the bookstore, and I really hope that you'll all read it. I attribute my recovery solely to macrobiotics because it was the time that I stopped all medical treatment and started the macrobiotic way that my condition stabilized and then reversed itself. An important factor in my recovery was accurate practice. During the time I was healing myself, I never ever cheated. Not even once. I was scared. Not a morsel of food, not a crumb that wasn't on my recommendations ever passed my lips. And I really think that's important when you're healing yourself of something as serious as cancer. Another factor was being in constant contact with a macrobiotic counselor. I saw a counselor regularly. She adjusted the diet to my changing condition. Also gave me a lot of hope and encouragement that I really needed. Another important factor, family support. My husband Ralph, my 4 children, my parents, my sisters, all stood by me, gave me a lot of love and support during my illness and especially during my recovery. And of course, positive attitude. Always helps to be optimistic. Positive thoughts bring about positive actions, which bring about positive results. So to a certain extent, your image creates your future. I really believed that I could go from cancer to health through macrobiotics, and I did. To those of you out there who are just starting macrobiotics, to those who are looking to macrobiotics as a way of healing yourself, I'd just like to say, hang in there. It really works. After a while, you'll find that macrobiotics is much more than a diet. It's a whole new way of life. It's a wonderful way of life, and you're going to love it. Thank you very much. I want to thank Michio for sharing his time with me today and allowing me to share the story with you.
Thank you, great. Mr. Nussbaum, will you please come? Family unity, family love, helping each other is so important. Let us hear from him.
This is really extemporaneous. Really, just in a couple of minutes, really, in terms of what Michio asked me to comment on in terms of family support and family love, I'm convinced, as Elaine said, that that is a critical component. Thinking back 3.5 years when Elaine first was thinking about going on macrobiotics, I was a real skeptic. I'm a scientist by profession, and certainly a treatment like this, which went right in the face of traditional Western medicine, is something that most of us have a hard time to deal with, and certainly those of us who have a lot of scientific training have a hard time to believe in. I am no longer a skeptic. I am a true believer. I am not a 100% practitioner of macrobiotics, but I've come a long way. Our family is, our total family, including our enlarged family, which are our friends, relatives, have all benefited from Elaine's experience. And I hope, by us being here today, some of you will be able to draw similar benefits and love and what the macrobiotic people say, have a peaceful and healthy future. All of us together.
Thank you very much. With this wonderful family experience and also many other hundreds, thousands of experiences throughout the world, we know we can do. We can do to prevent and even become like that. We can relieve and recover, and we can do this, and we can do to save this mankind. So let us do together. Right? Let us do together. Family is very important, family help. Same thing, we all become one family, and let's help each other. Let's encourage each other. Thank you very much.